it or only let me do it? Okay, yeah.
You got it. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear me. This is Courtney. Welcome everyone in person and on Zoom. It's our second gen meeting for NSA. Somehow we've made it to almost the end of October, and we have a couple events and things that we want to talk about and announce, as well as a guest speaker that is here in person. Cool. We're currently doing a donation drive for period products. So if you haven't already brought products today, you can drop them off at 2 different locations on campus. We'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Some more.
All right, and in terms of the today's meeting schedule, like Courtney said, we'll go over club announcements really quick. And then we have a guest speaker, Pamela. She'll be speaking about her experiences at Chalk. And then we'll take a meeting photo and close.
Okay, so as always, we want to emphasize that the purpose of the Nursing Student Association is to support, encourage, and empower our nursing students at Cal State Fullerton to become involved with their community, pick up some good skills, and become advocates for patients and people around them. Okay, and Abigail's going to talk about membership.
Hi, everyone. Just a reminder that the NSA membership fee is for life, and it's also only $40. And with this fee, it helps us provide like fun activities, and also goes towards the graduation court as well. And if you do not fill out the membership form, and if you do not fill out the fee, then your hours will not be recorded and you will not be eligible for the court. So I just wanted to announce that to make it a little more clear. And
yeah.
And also for the court, you have to be an NSA member for at least a year, and that's $45 a year. And that membership has to extend until your senior graduating year, until the spring semester. And again, hours determined by the number of years you are expected in the program, and you can also just see that through the application as well.
Okay.
Some announcements.
If you haven't seen in your emails already, NSA is having their t-shirt sale. The sale ends in 2 days on October 20th at 11:59 p.m. I believe you can scan the QR code right there. They're about $19-ish. We have about 40 people that bought t-shirts already, so those should be arriving within 2 weeks after the deadline.
There is an option to pick up your shirt if you don't want to pay shipping. So if shipping is your hang up, you can pick it up from one of us.
And then after the t-shirts, we will be having a jacket design contest. So like before, anyone can submit designs for jackets by October 29th, Saturday at 11:59 p.m. And then we'll be voting for that and having a jacket sale fundraiser for the winter time. You can email the designs to me, csufnsa.vicepresident@gmail.com, and the winning design gets a free jacket.
Yeah. All right.
So submit your design. These are past designs, pretty basic. We prefer them to be black because of clinical, like most sites allow you to wear this jacket. They're really comfortable, especially since the units get really cold. So yeah, just some inspiration when you're making designs.
Okay, now Amy, our ICC chair, is going to talk a little bit about another club.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Celine, the chair of SHAC, another club on campus, the Student Health Advisory Committee, reached out to us and wanted to share about her club. Their next general meeting is going to be tomorrow, and I think it will be a great opportunity. She did link a video for us. So yeah. I think you have to open your video.
Oh, is there a video? No. Look right there. It's on your, it's right here.
Because
Is it not hyperlinked?
no, I did hyperlink it, but I don't think it hyperlinked.
It's okay. We can share it in our social.
Yeah.
Another plug I want to share with you guys is the mentor class is making a podcast, releasing one episode a month. There was one in September with actually another chalk nurse. Actually, was she chalk or she L&D? It was really great though. It was Tuffy Huddle.
L&D.
Yes, L&D. My bad. Tuffy Huddle podcast. They release once a month during the semester, and it's a nice insight into transitioning to practice, how to get a job, some really nice insights, and it's a pretty short podcast, so it's I think about 25 or 30 minutes. So yeah, check it out.
And just some membership updates. We currently have 73 members and our total hours is already 433 hours. And our total number of club hours is 1,802 hours and 25 minutes. So thank you so much for all your participation. And I'm going to be saying some important notices regarding hours, such as hours will not be counted without proper proof, such like a screenshot or fill out the attendance form, or and hours will be updated within the few days after submission. So just please be a bit patient and gentle, and must submit corrections if there's any discrepancy with the hours by December 2nd. And deadline for seniors to earn the court would be March 10 of spring next year. And new members who signed up in spring semester who are graduating 2023 are not eligible for the court. So we have to join by the fall semester.
So to clarify, graduating class of 2023, graduating this May, need to have all of their hours fulfilled by March 10th.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can also check the link at their website to see your current hours, or you can scan that QR code. And again, if you haven't filled out the form or paid membership, I will highly recommend doing so we can start recording our hours. And you can also record it yourself as well. So we give this service so we can do it for you. Oh, that's not okay. So for members that recently joined, if you have trouble finding the link to pay, you can go to the NSA website and it'll take you to an updated Eventbrite. And again, for graduating seniors, you have to be an active member by December 6th. And you have to pay membership fee of $40 and fulfill the hour requirements depending on the program that you're part of. And that's all.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Krista, your guys' activities director. So some fun updates about current volunteer opportunities. So on the top right is the Google Sheet with the list of all of our upcoming events happening for this semester. I tend to update it like pretty frequently. So some events that we have right now include the Halloween Social, which is this Saturday, October 22nd. And it's going to be at Hillcrest Park. The address is there. And it's going to be at the top of the hill. I know that's like not specific, but on the next slide, I like have a specific photo about like where that will be. And it's going to start at 11:30 a.m. and it's going to end at 2 p.m. And I hope to see you guys there. Some fun features is that there's going to be canes, candy, some fun games are going to be involved. And if you wear a costume, that will be an extra hour of service added to your membership hours. And since it's going to be at a park, we highly recommend for you guys to bring a blanket or a chair to sit on or any sort, because it's just a grassy hilltop area. So bring a blanket or a chair to make yourself feel more comfortable. And we asked for you to RSVP for the social, so we have an idea of the head count. So we know like in terms of like food and like the amount of candy bags we need to make, stuff like that. So on the bottom left is the RSVP like Google Sheet for you guys to fill out. And yeah, oh, also carpooling. If you can't drive or like don't have the ability to drive, we also will be offering carpooling. So please indicate that within your RSVP submission. Thank you.
All right, and we also have the opportunity of volunteering with the Hub OC, which is a unhoused persons resource center. It's set up kind of along the street. They're all hooked up to plumbing and everything. It is a place that focuses on transitioning people from the street to more resources and more of a stable living environment. The people there are relying upon very little city funding that they have secured and volunteer hours. I think 2 people are the main employees that keep volunteers coming in and coordinating events. But you can, based on your own time schedule, volunteer on their sign up genius page. A lot of the time blocks are like 2 to 3 hours. So if you only have 2 to 3 hours on like a Sunday, a Thursday, whatever you have available, you can get credit at the resource center and help them out. It can be anything from helping with check-in. They have like a ticket appointment system, so just checking people in at different areas, like using the laundry or the showers. And the location is kind of odd defined. I put the location as 317 West Struck Avenue in Orange. But if you type in that address, it'll tell you it's like Mary's Kitchen, which is closed, but it is on that same street. It's a little dead end. It's very easy to find. Right down the street from the police station. So it's pretty safe. They're pretty friendly. Don't be scared. Take a friend. Help some people out.
Mhm.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so I found this image on like Google Earth where the specific location is going to be, because Hillcrest Park is pretty big and there's like certain areas, but that area that I circled and zoomed in is where our social is going to be held on Saturday. So if that gives you a better idea, I'll probably post that also on the volunteer sheet as well, so you guys can represent back. Yeah.
Is the little
It's like that
thingy,
little,
is that little pit right there the parking?
so right here, yeah, there's parking right there on like the top right of that little circle.
Okay.
And then there's also parking like on the top of that too, like right
So
above.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, there's parking there. We were there last year, so.
Okay.
There's still parking. There's parking. Okay, so I think, okay, next announcement is our Helping Hand Volunteer Menstrual Drive. So thank you to thank you to anyone that donated a product today. But if you haven't donated a product, we will also be continuing this project until October 31st. You can drop off a box of pads or tampons to our donation box in the sim lab. It's a white box. It's on the floor of the sim lab, like right by the entrance. And 1 box is equivalent to 1 hour. But in order for you to earn your hours, please submit a photo of your donated product to our membership director at her respective email. Furthermore, another volunteer opportunity, which is really important because I feel like this specific event will yield the most amount of products for our drive, is on October 28th and 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We will be asking you guys to hopefully sign up for a 1-hour shift to hand out promotional flyers to incoming customers at Ralph's. The Ralph's is literally a 3-minute drive from campus and a 15-minute walk from Fullerton. So October 20th is a Friday, October 29th is a Saturday. And we ask you guys to hand out promotional flyers and talk to incoming customers about our drive, give them information about why we're like who NSA is and like where these products are going to be donated to. On the Google Sheet, I provided like a volunteer guide. So if there are any questions that you don't know any answers about when a customer asks you, go to the volunteer guide because that should help you out. But we're mainly helping women that are like low income active duty service members or military wise that are from Camp Pendleton. That's where these products will be donated to. So over there is the QR code. So if you want to volunteer in person, please sign up for a time slot. Ideally, we want 2 people per shift and for 5 minutes for each volunteer to arrive 5 minutes early. So then the previous volunteer can kind of give like a rundown about how to do it. But yeah, our goal is to have 16 volunteers, but yeah, it's really not going to be possible if we don't have any in-person participation. So
All right.
please volunteer.
Think of it as being the Girl Scouts selling cookies outside the store.
Okay. Oh, wait, should we ask for like any questions about anything?
Yeah, does anyone in the chat have any questions regarding the volunteer events or anyone in person?
Anything that we need to clarify? You can put it in the chat or just unmute yourself.
Yeah, we can also. Let's see. No, okay,
No questions?
all right. If you go, oh, there's one.
Oh.
No question. And yes, Gina, I put the pads in the donation box. Thank you so much for donating.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Cool. Okay, moving on to our guest speaker.
Okay. I'm gonna, oops, did it not work? Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right, would you like to introduce yourself? You can put yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want, should I stand here?
You're anywhere here, I think.
Facing.
You're on camera here, and then the mic will pick you up here too.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, like in the middle.
Actually, I can tilt it a little bit,
Cool.
but then they can see you too.
Okay, my name is Pamela. I've been at Chalk for a year now. I was at St. Jude on the COVID unit for like half a year before that. I graduated 2 years ago here from Cal State Fullerton. I went through the traditional program. At Chalk, I am on the neuroscience unit. So it's like an acute care floor, just specializing in neuroscience, so mostly epilepsy. And yeah, I'm excited to be able to share with you guys today. I love working at Chalk. I personally always knew I wanted to be a peds nurse, like going through Cal State Fullerton's program. I love peds. So yeah, if anyone is really interested in peds or has any questions, please let me know, even about Chalk, because it was kind of hard getting into Chalk. That's why I had to work at St. Jude before. I had to be pretty open first graduating. But definitely wherever you really want to work with time, you could totally get there. But yeah, I'm excited to share.
Yeah, so we're gonna start off with just like some beginning questions first. We have like 4 starting questions and then we'll just keep it open for like a Q&A session. So you guys later on can like type in the chat or unmute yourselves. The same thing with people in person too. Just ask for any questions.
Oh, that's a good question.
It's a lovely question. Okay. Yeah. Now it's okay. So starting off with the first question. So you mentioned to me that you're a night shift nurse. So can you walk us through your routine as a night shift nurse?
Yeah, so I'll explain my routine like on the floor and then also how I like sleep. So on the unit, basically we start by getting a report that usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes. And then I always look up my medications, especially for peds. It's so important because like the dosages are so different from like a 1-month-old to like a 16-year-old. Like the dosages are going to be way different. So I always check my medications. And then we have 3 to 4 patients usually on the acute care floors. Sometimes if a patient is like really heavy, like they're very time consuming, they're a 3 to 1. So you can only have 3 patients. Or you start out with like 1 less and you'll get 1 later. And so I go see all my patients, do my vital signs, pass my meds. On the neuroscience unit, we have a lot of patients who are total care, a lot of patients with seizure disorders. Some are totally walking, talking. You wouldn't even know they have a seizure disorder. It's very controlled and they only come for checkups. I really like those patients. Other ones, I like all of them, but they're easier. Other ones, they have seizure disorders and they're total care. Like they can't eat for themselves. They can't move for themselves. They can't talk. They can't communicate. So their parents are usually their provider or who take care of them. But when they get really sick and they can't take their seizure medications, they come to the hospital because they're having uncontrolled seizures and they have to be there until they get better. So we have a lot of G2 medications for those patients. So like a lot of the crushing and then giving IV meds, PO. And then with peds, giving a PO med to a 3-year-old might take you like 15 minutes rather than 2 minutes. And then addressing the parent's concern. In pediatrics, it's very family-centered care. It's not just the kid you're taking care of, it's also the parents, and the parents are usually the ones speaking for their kid most of the time, unless they're like a teenager. So always including the parents, and once the parent is concerned, they know their kid best, like we're concerned. And then usually that was like more the beginning of the shift, like passing medications, addressing parents' concerns, assessing the patient. And then towards the middle of the night, that's usually when things go wrong. Night shift, it's when they crash for some reason. So say patients start seizing or respiratory distress, that's usually when we'll address that. I feel like on the neuroscience unit, you do get to practice a lot of skills, which I feel like in nursing school was kind of hard practicing my skills. But I totally feel like you just need practice and it totally gets better. But we get a lot of Foley catheters because spina bifida, we see a lot of kids with that, so they don't have control waist down. We get a lot of central lines. We get some kids with trachs occasionally, and then the G-tube meds. So we definitely do get to see a lot. And then talking about parents, sometimes they get very unhappy. So we also have to deal with that as a peds nurse. Usually it's trying to communicate with them. If not, bringing your charge nurse in. We have to do that very often, which makes sense. Like it's their kid that they're really worried about. They're in a stressful situation and understanding where they're coming from, but also not letting parents take advantage of you or talk to you in a way that isn't appropriate. And then towards the morning, there is like a 2 to 4 a.m. sometimes if things don't go crazy, is like the downtime between night shifts, which I really appreciate about night shift is that it's not usually not as crazy all the time, like during the day. So you get those like 2 hours to catch up, know your patient more, ask any questions, or just even like chill out for a little bit after craziness. And towards the morning, like 6 a.m. it gets really busy again. You have to get labs for your patient, or you have to like pass more medications. So yeah, that's the night shift schedule at Chalk, like on my unit. But for sleeping, I would say you have to be good at taking naps and sleeping when you can. Also blackout curtains, that's like #1 thing for me. Blackout curtains, I even do like a sleep mask. It works so great. And then usually it's different for everyone. Like what works for one person isn't going to work for the other person. I feel like a lot of new grads usually have to get night shift because they just put them there. Chalk was actually really cool. They wanted me to be day shift, but I chose night shift. So they have a lot more day shifts options open than I've seen at other hospitals. But the night shift and differential is really good at Chalk. So that's always a plus, the night shift. So basically, like say I'm going in tonight to night shift, I stay up yesterday night as much as I can, and sleep in today as much as I can, like waking up at like 12 p.m. if I can. And if I can't do that, like some people are like, well, I just wake up early, then just taking a nap. And then when you come back from night shifts, if you work the next night, you just kind of sleep till the next night. Some people wake up too early because usually you get home at like and ready to bed, like you're probably in bed by 9 a.m. And so some people wake up like way too early, like 12 or 2, which is only like 4 hours of sleep or less. I usually try to sleep till 4. You kind of are so exhausted that it helps, but if you wake up early, like don't try to like work out, run a million errands before your shift, you'll like crash. Coffee is also really helpful. And then the night when you have the next couple of nights off, like just try to nap. Don't try to like sleep in as much as you can because then you're just going to be, your whole schedule is thrown off. Just kind of suffer for like one afternoon and then you're like back on schedule. So yeah, and then count your hours that you're sleeping, because I feel like a lot of night shift people like be like, no, I'm fine, I don't need sleep. And then I feel like for me, if I don't get enough sleep, my body will like try to tell me, my friends too, like I'll feel nauseous, which is like really weird, or like you don't feel hungry, and it's just like you feel off. So definitely like count and schedule like your sleep. Like it sounds weird to schedule your sleep, but like you really have to. But yeah, that's night shift.
All right, thank you. All right, so next question is more about what unit you work in. So what made you choose neuroscience as your specific unit that you work in?
Cool. So I knew I definitely wanted to be on acute care floor. which neuroscience is. I felt like neuroscience was kind of like to the side, like not really well known. So I felt like I would have a better chance getting in because I really wanted to be in at Chalk. And then I feel like I've really come to love it. Some of the patients we see a lot of different things, mostly seizures. Like I already explained, just either 24-hour checkups that they have to come in for, or if they're sick and not having their seizures under control, which everyone freaks out when it, like, especially a kid's having a seizure. And honestly, you will like always probably freak out a little bit on the inside, but you definitely get more used to it and you feel like way more prepared as to like what to do, and you always have help too. But we also see patients with, so we get a lot of trauma on neuroscience unit. We've had kids who like toddlers falling out of like 3-story buildings. So like, and like survive. So obviously they're never gonna be the same. You see a lot of sad stuff on neuroscience and peds in general. You definitely have to be, it's not like, oh, the kid's just like sick and we're gonna take care of him. It's like, you see a lot of like really sad things. We even get a lot of like CPS like calls, or like they'll come, like shaken baby syndrome. We get some of those, so that's pretty sad too. And then we also get like encephalitis. So we see a bunch of interesting stuff too on our unit. I don't know if you guys have seen Brain on Fire, it's on Netflix, but basically it's like encephalitis, your brain is inflamed, and these kids or teenagers like just end up like not acting like themselves. They're acting like very strange. They think it's like mental health at first. They try killing themselves. They start like yelling at like everyone, or like just kind of like you would think like schizophrenia. And then they come in and get tested and they actually have like their brain is inflamed. And eventually it gets so bad where they can't even like talk for themselves. They can't move. They can't go to the restroom themselves, like completely normal kid. And it's autoimmune. Their brain just starts attacking themselves for some reason. So we have some of those cases of it sometimes, and they're there for like 2 months. But you see like them get like first trying to punch you, kick you, screaming at you, cussing you, not acting themselves, to like not able to do anything. You have to do everything for them, to like them getting slowly better and better and better, where they finally are like close to their normal self again, but have to go through rehab. So that's really interesting. And then some med surg kids like thrown in there, like respiratory distress or broken bones, or like appendicitis, like just some random med surg kids thrown in. But yeah, that's neuroscience.
Okay, great, thank you. Gosh, sounds intense. Okay, the next question that I have for you is, how is your new grad experience and program like at Chalk?
So I feel like it was really good. If anyone is interested in Chalk, I feel like something really important to know is like they have a RN residency, but they also have this new position like before the RN residency. It's called like the grad nurse position. So basically it's for like RNs who just completed a program, graduated, and has their like RN license. And basically you're like an LVN on the floor. It's like a step in the hospital in a way. You basically just like help out all the other RNs, but you like only have certain responsibilities. Like you only are like assisting like 2 to 3 other RNs with like passing like PO medications only, or like just giving them a hand with whatever they need or doing tasky things. So I did that for like 4 months before the actual R&R. And I like highly recommend, like if you want to be like work at Chalk, then to like apply for the grad nurse position first, because it definitely like gives you like a better advantage. And it's different like timing, because they want all their grad nurses to go into the RN residency. So it's like a pre-stage, which is like new. So I did that, and that was a really great experience. And it's cool because like when I started my R&R, I didn't have to worry about like where everything was, who everyone was, and like the flow of things. Like I already had all that down because like the 4 months as like the grad nurse. So during the R&R, I just got to like focus on like time management and like being like the actual RN, not just doing tasky things. But I felt like it was really good. They had a lot of classes. The preceptorship was really good. I felt like I was really trained well. And they also have like a mentorship follow-up, which I thought was really cool for the next months after you're on your own. That way you have like someone to talk to or go to for questions. But I feel like everyone is so nice at Chalk, and like if you have questions, like they're always willing to help.
That's good to know. Is like that that program, that grad program, that's not very common, or is it like new?
That's new at Chalk. I was the first cohort, which was like 2 years ago. So that's a new, and it's only for Chalk. Like I applied to I was at St. Jude before Chalk, and they didn't have anything like that. It was like just the residency. So yeah, it was very different.
That's interesting. Okay, that's cool. The fourth question before we go into like an open Q&A is, do you believe CSUF's nursing program prepared you for nursing? Why or why not?
I definitely did feel prepared. It was really hard going through this program, but I feel like it was for a reason. I definitely felt much more prepared compared to students from other places, especially for the NCLEX. Like all of us were so stressed for it, but I felt like after it was like, whoa, that wasn't actually that bad because I felt so prepared in school. Especially like your last semester, I felt like that was so helpful in critical care and capstone. So yeah, I feel like I just had to study for like maybe a month or two, and then I took the NCLEX and I was fine. And then even like in the hospital, I felt like I knew why I was doing what I was doing, which was like really helpful. And I felt like I had that critical thinking, and like I had the like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to ask for help, which I got from like Cal State Fullerton's program. So it's hard, but it's worth it. I wouldn't do it again, all over again, but it was worth it.
That's the last question that I had for you. For anyone on Zoom or in person, if you guys want to unmute yourself or type it in the chat if you have any questions for Pamela. But right now it's just an open Q&A. And Courtney, you're moderating the chat, right?
Yeah, I can see it here. I'm just gonna throw it out there. How was adjusting to using Cerner instead of Epic?
Oh, that's a good question,
Because that was a trip
Mhm.
when, I mean, I was there for peds and it's different,
Mhm.
but it did seem good for peds.
Yeah. So Cerner is like the Epic.
Yeah.
Like the computer program for documenting everything, which was like completely new because I feel like all through Cal State Fullerton's program, I always use Epic. But because I did the grad nurse position first before the residency, that really helped because I saw it often and often and often before. And in the grad nurse position, you don't have to document too much compared to like the RN residency, but you do get used to it. I feel like, especially like during night shifts, there's like a little bit more downtime, and in that downtime we would ask a lot of questions, or like I would literally in my preceptorship just like watch my like preceptor like chart and like ask her if I had any questions, and it's like pretty friendly. Like it will let you know like what you need to chart and when. I feel like the harder part with charting is just like sometimes when things go crazy, like the time to chart, like there's been 2 shifts where I'm like literally like 1 minute before the shift is over, like trying to finish things. So, and then like always like, especially for peds, I mean, I feel like anything, like you always just want to make sure like when you notified the doctor that you document that, or like when you communicate something to the family that the doctor made sure to communicate that you did that. Just like always protecting yourself, because some nurses have been like called and like because like a past case, and like they're documenting us like save their butt. So we always like make sure our documenting is like, on point, but getting used to it is just honestly just watching and learning and practicing.
We have a question from Anna. That is, when you first started at Chalk, how did you mentally deal with all the difficult cases that you were dealing with?
Yeah, that's a really good question, especially like ICU, ED, like that's also like a whole other realm with peds. Like on acute care, like I never have to really deal with dying kids. I've had like one code, we call it code white, which is a code blue. And they were okay. But like the trauma kids, like those are the harder ones to deal with. I feel like it's like, as any nursing career, it's like you leave work at work when you go home. And then honestly, just talking to the other nurses has like helped so much. Like, I feel like I like have really great friends on my like unit, and like we talk about that, or even like the mentorship program, like I could talk about it with my mentor, and just like talking about it helps. Obviously there's like a time and space to talk about it too. That's why like with coworkers it's best, because like they are in it too. But yeah, it's definitely hard. You have to have that like disconnect in a way of like, I'm not going to bring this home with me. And it's okay to like, if you take like with my code white, I took that home with me. I had to, like, there's no like leaving that. And like letting yourself have that time to like process for like I think a week I had to like process that. So yeah, it's hard at times, but it's worth it. I think for me, it's my perspective. Like I see it as like, I get to like help them in this like sad time for like the family. So that's what really helps me too.
All right, we have a question from Gina asking, how do you balance time management during your shift, like charting, assessments, meds?
Well, we always prioritize like what's most urgent, because sometimes, actually many times, there's like so much going on at once. One patient, like the parents are super mad, they want to talk to the doctor. Another patient, their IV just like came out, and another patient is like a 2-year-old that needs to get his medication but won't take it. So there's been many times, especially as like a new nurse, that I go to my charge nurse and I'm like, I have these 3 patients with these things going on. What do I do first? Like I've literally like done that multiple times. And that's been like super helpful, because they're like, okay, do this and this, and like I'll help you with this. We also have like, because like the hospitals are so crazy right now, like this last week when I was there, like we had no more beds for any patients. Like we were so full that there's like no more beds available. Like they had to wait for a patient to go home in order for patients to come up. So we have like breaker nurses, who are nurses that like don't have an assignment, they're just there to help. So like a lot of like delegating, like, hey, like go do this for me in that room while I do this. And then charting, like honestly always comes last. It's like I'll get to it when I get to it, as long as you just like always make sure that you eventually do get to it. But yeah, it's like most urgent. Like if my patient is seizing, then I'll probably see them first and then do the other ones, or ask a lot of asking for help too, and delegation.
When you're on your shift, do you use a brain like sheet that you write out yourself, or do you have one that you like pull from the shelf? I know they have a couple different ones sometimes.
Yeah, so personally, in my capstone, we had to like make our own brains. And so I have actually made my own, and like I love it, because like I made it, I know where everything is. And like it was like my first, like during the R&R, my first couple weeks, that like I found out like I don't like this on this brains, I do like this, and like I kind of like pick and choose what I liked. But like I would say 80% of the people in my unit just use like the brains that we have on the floor, and just like fill it out whatever way that they want. It's like super simple, and they just kind of like make notes. But I like structure more, so like I make it my own and then just print a ton there. But yeah, everyone's so different. You kind of have to feel it out in your R&R, like what works best for you.
So when you started working there, is there anything that you wish you took advantage of or asked during your clinical rotations?
I know during clinical rotations, I would always stress like, I need to do this skill, that way I know how to do it when I'm on my own. But like, I feel like if you choose a good school with a good residency, then like you'll get that practice. Like I wouldn't stress so much about skills. Like obviously it's super helpful and it's like good to know, but like you're eventually gonna have to like start that IV, you're putting that fully, and someone's gonna be there to help you the first couple times. So I wish I didn't like stress out as much for that. Like it was definitely helpful, but I was like, I need to practice skills. When like now I'm like, oh my gosh, why was I stressing so much? And then I feel like just honestly, like the critical thinking, time management, I feel like was the most helpful. And like I wish like I like paid more attention to during clinicals. That I feel like is like the most important. And like learning, like if I saw a patient, if I have a patient with like appendicitis, like I would remember like my patient with appendicitis in clinical, and that would really help me. Like I would know like what to look for, what medications they should be on. So I felt like that was the most helpful too, like just learning the different type of patients.
I think earlier you had mentioned that you were offered a position at CHOP for the daytime, right? Also
Yeah.
as well.
Mhm.
How come you chose the night over the day?
I chose night shift because a couple reasons. I felt like, well, one, I like the people on it better. There's definitely different personalities, and night shift tends to have younger people on the floor. So I got along really well with like the people on night shift, and then also the night shift differential, like some hospitals, it doesn't make a big difference. But like at Chalk, like there's a pretty big difference. So yeah, it was $7. So it was like pretty good. And then also, like I said, like I feel like starting out, like day shift is crazy. Like it is like we get a lot of problems and we get crazy shifts too on nights, but like day shift is constantly crazy. So, and you're like talking to so many different people, like the doctor wants something from you, the social worker wants something from you, which is like great. And I love like being that person, but I feel like it's a little bit overwhelming, especially when you're first starting. You're just like, I'm just trying to get my medications and have this patient survive, like, and deal with the parents. And then so to deal with like the whole team and like coordinating everything is just like a lot more too. And like help wise is a little bit harder during the days, just because like everyone is so busy that like asking for help is a little, it's obviously still there, it's just a little bit harder. So I feel like my first couple of years night shift is just better for me personally, but some people are like, I could do it, I'm like able to like stay on my toes all shift long, like they love that. So
Did you ever have a night shift clinic?
I did my peds rotation at CHLA. Yeah, so yeah, they let you go though early sometimes. You don't get any more after that. But I feel like it was a good, like, you get to like see what night shift is like. It's not too different, it's just the craziness.
Parents will still run.
Yeah,
That extra
exactly.
bed.
And things still go wrong. You still admit patients constantly night shift.
Is anyone on Zoom looking to have their question asked?
Do you have advice for dealing with difficult preceptors or staff in general that are pretty condescending towards new grads?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, thankfully, my unit, like, I had a great experience with most of my preceptors. One of my friends did have like a little trouble with his preceptors, and I know he really like, it's just communication. Like there's like someone in charge of the residency, and they're really great at like let us know like if you need anything. Like they talk about that, like they know like not every personality is going to go with each other, and that some people are going to have a harder time than others. So they do a really great job of like following up with you, and like they do a good job of like, say it got to a point where like he wasn't like, he felt like it was like hurting him more than helping him, then he could communicate that with like the person in charge. After he tries like talk to her about what it is, like whether it's communication, like, hey, like if you could tell me that like in a different way, or when we're busy, like if you could let me know when we could have like a time to sit down and talk about these things, like stuff like that. if she doesn't listen, then like the first couple times I'm like asking for a different preceptor. And usually they're like really great at like, of course, like they don't really even ask much questions. It's like, if you feel like you need a different preceptor, we'll give you a different preceptor. So.
Okay, similar, somewhat related. Melody wants to know, how do you manage interactions with difficult families and parents?
That's a really good question. That happens very often. I didn't think it was gonna happen this often as it does, but it does. I feel like definitely you have to pay attention a lot to the way that you're saying things, how you're saying it, the words that you're saying. Because like, especially when you talk about someone's kid, they're very sensitive about that, which totally makes sense. So you just have to be really careful with your words and your tone. And sometimes it's so hard because you're so stressed and so busy, like running room in room, and that parent like wants your 100% like dedication for their kid, which makes sense, but you're like, I have 3 other kids. So it's just like communication. And then, like I said, like remembering like their perspective always helps me when I feel like disrespected from like a family member, and letting them know, like setting boundaries, like, hey, like you can't talk to me like that. Or sometimes we have parents that are like asking for like way too much, which is like too unreasonable. Like they're calling you in like every like 5 minutes. So in that case, it's like trying to talk to them about it. And if they're not listening, which sometimes they don't, having the charge nurse, like the charge nurse is like main role, I feel like, or one of them is like dealing with the parents. So definitely like that has helped so much, like asking for the charges nurses help. And then we have a thing at Chalk, where like basically it's like a contract. If it's like parents are being so disrespectful or like not letting you do what you need to do, they could be put on like a contract where like with the doctor, with the charge nurse, like where like you're gonna like if you want to stay here, like you have to like go by these like rules, and you have to let us like care for your child. That usually like does the job if it's like escalated that far. I have cried once. Oh, and it was like, it's like little things on top of little things sometimes. But yeah, I had a grandma yell at me. And it was like for all miscommunication. Like that's why I say like so much, like be careful with your communication. So, and she apologized after the charge nurse talked to her, and we like clarified everything. You kind of have to really be tough in peds, and like even if a parent yells at you, like you have to remember the kid and like, hey, like I'm doing this for the kid. So yeah.
Right, something I know about, because I was in Chalk for Peds rotation this summer. Can you tell everyone about child life and how you might use them?
Yeah, so child life, basically their role is to play with the kid in a way, give them toys. Because like obviously if you're like 6 years old, being in the hospital is really scary, having to get an IV in, having to get labs done, having to do like things that you don't want to do. So child life, their whole role is to just like come on your unit, meet every single like patient, whether they're like a baby to like a teenager. They like just check in on them, provide them with any toys, or like with the teenagers, like we have like mobile like Wii's or like Nintendo Switches that they can like play with. Or say we have to start an IV on like a 6-year-old, that's like pretty traumatic. So child life will like come in with you, and like we'll have the iPad like distracting the kid. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Or like we also have other cool things that child life does, like they come around with the dogs, and like kids could like pet the dogs and play with the dogs, or like there's music therapy. So we do a lot so that we could like make their stay at Chalk like not as traumatic, and that they could like look back and remember like as like an experience that like wasn't so terrible for them.
Is child life like a volunteering position, or is that?
It's a legit position.
Like a legit
Yeah.
position.
I think you have to have your like bachelor's or master's in like social life or like sociology, or like child something. Yeah,
Development.
child development.
Yeah.
So it's like a legit position. They do have like volunteer opportunities for like volunteers, like you could like walk the patients like where they need to go, or it's kind of hard because with COVID, they've like stopped that as much as they used to have it. But it's like a legit position.
Thank you so much for talking to us. We are going to transition to our group photo. All right.
So those of you on Zoom, if you'd like to be in the picture, you can go ahead and turn your cameras on. It's making noise. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. And then.
Show
No
us,
one
show us your faces, guys.
We're gonna
Turn on your
we're
camera.
gonna crowd around the webcam and
Yeah.
then take the picture
Wherever
here.
you are. At home, in the car, whatever.
Yes.
you.
Okay.
Okay.
Come in, everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to be in center.
Okay.
I like beat you in the face.
Everyone in.
I think it's more hard. There's more here too. I don't think so.
Let's
All right. Oh, I'm squatting.
Okay.
1,
2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do a silly one, everyone. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Everyone do a peace sign. Everyone, I know.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me. Don't leave yet, everyone. Let me.
Don't leave yet. Okay.
Okay, here is. Oh, here's our Discord. If you would like to join, you have 5 seconds to scan it, or else I'm leaving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Connect with us. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then scan this for attendance. Whoever attended.
All right. I also have a screenshot of the list from mid-meeting, so I'd prefer that you scan this.
Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. Our next general meeting should be in November to be announced. And we'll have 2 guest speakers for that meeting. All right. Anyone have any last minute questions?
No, all right.
Anything? Please sign up for the events and for the
Yeah,
Go to
social.
the social on Saturday.
Use RSVP. I'm gonna get the chicken. I need to know.
Free Raising Canes. Okay.
Like, peeking.
Bye everyone.
Bye.